Hey there, and welcome to Echoes of Age. This is the place where we talk real stuff about getting older, in a way that helps you feel stronger, stay sharper, and live better every single day. We're diving into the things no one really talks about when it comes to aging, but should. Let's jump in, Ted.
I am 81 years old, and not so long ago, I experienced something that shook me to the core. It wasn't a small lapse, like forgetting where I put my glasses. No, it was bigger than that. It happened one evening when my family had gathered for Sunday dinner. My granddaughter, Sophia, ran up to me with her sketchbook, smiling from ear to ear. She said, "Grandpa, do you want to see what I drew today?" I looked at her beautiful face, but for a few painful seconds, I couldn't remember her name. Imagine the silence inside me at that moment. My heart sank. I tried to play it off with a smile, but inside, I felt a cold wave of fear. When my daughter noticed, she gave me a look I will never forget. A mixture of worry, sadness, and pity. That was the first day I finally admitted something to myself. My memory was not the same anymore. This wasn't just about losing track of where I put the keys or mixing up the day of the week. It was more serious. I started losing pieces of my own life. I once walked out of the library, a place I had visited for decades, and couldn't figure out which way to turn to get home. I forgot conversations I just had. I even left a kettle boiling for so long that the entire kitchen filled with smoke. Each time it happened, I felt as if part of me was slipping away. I was still here, but at the same time, I was disappearing. I tried everything: vitamins, puzzles, memory exercises, even folk remedies my neighbors swore by. But nothing seemed to make a real difference. Every day, the fog inside my mind seemed to grow heavier. Until one day, everything changed. And what surprised me most was that the change started with something so simple, so ordinary, that most of us walk past it in the supermarket without even noticing. An oil. An oil our grandparents once used daily, but which in modern times has been pushed aside and almost forgotten, just like my memory was being pushed aside from me. Today, I want to share with you the story of how I discovered this oil, why I decided to try it, and what science says about its benefits for memory, focus, and clarity, especially for older people like you and me. So stay with me until the end, because what I'm about to tell you might give you hope, just as it gave me. And before we continue, let me ask you something. How old are you? And from which country or city are you watching this? I'd love to know. Share your answer in the comments below. Now let's begin. At first, my memory problems were almost invisible. Small lapses here and there. I'd walk into the kitchen and forget why. I'd open the fridge and just stand there, not remembering what I was looking for. Later, the words started to disappear. Simple words. I want to say spoon, but instead, I'd say, that thing you eat with. My grandchildren were kind about it. They giggled, sometimes even helped me find the right word. But behind their smiles, I saw worry. And behind my smile, I hid fear. One afternoon stands out. I was at the farmer's market, a place I'd gone to every week for years. But when I stepped out, shopping bag in hand, I froze. I didn't know which street led home. Everything looked strange. I stood there, pretending to look at the vegetables on display, while inside I felt like a lost child. My heart raced. My palms were sweaty. It took me 10 minutes to remember the way. When I got home, my daughter noticed my pale face. I tried to make light of it, but tears welled in her eyes. She said softly, "Dad, this isn't just forgetfulness. We need to do something." That night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, haunted by a single thought. Was this the beginning of Alzheimer's? My daughter insisted I see a neurologist. So I went. The waiting room was full of people my age. Some sat quietly, staring into space. Others fidgeted nervously. And I realized we were all there for the same reason: fear of losing ourselves. The doctor was kind, but firm. He asked me simple questions. What day is it? Who's the president? Then he gave me 3 words to remember: apple, clock, house. Minutes later, when he asked me to repeat them, I couldn't recall a single one. He asked me to draw a clock. My hand trembled. I knew what a clock looked like, but when I tried to put the numbers in, everything blurred. At the end, he looked at me with gentle seriousness. His diagnosis: mild cognitive impairment. Not yet dementia, not yet Alzheimer's, but a warning sign. He prescribed supplements, recommended crossword puzzles, daily walks, reading, and a brain-healthy diet. For weeks, I followed his instructions. My breakfast table turned into a pharmacy. Pills, powders, capsules. I ate blueberries and salmon, did Sudoku on my phone, forced myself to read the newspaper. But the truth? The fog was still there. Each forgotten word, each repeated story, each lost item chipped away at my confidence. And worse, the fear grew heavier. Fear of not recognizing my daughter. Fear of waking up one day and not knowing my own home. I felt like I was fighting a battle I was destined to lose. Until fate handed me something unexpected. It was a quiet afternoon in the park. I was sitting on my favorite bench, watching children play, when an old friend appeared. Michael. We had been neighbors for decades, but I hadn't seen him in months. I was stunned. At 83, he looked vibrant. His voice was strong, his memory sharp. He remembered names, dates, even jokes from years ago. I couldn't resist. I asked him, "Michael, how do you do it?" At our age, my memory is slipping, but yours seems as sharp as ever. He leaned closer, smiled, and said, "I'll tell you something that changed my life. Sesame oil." I blinked. Sesame oil? You mean the stuff people drizzle on stir-fry? He laughed. Yes, the same, but pure, unrefined sesame oil. My grandmother used it every day, and a few years ago, I read that it could actually help the brain. So I started taking a spoonful every morning, and slowly my mind came back. At first, I thought he was joking. Could something as simple as sesame oil really help memory? But he spoke with such conviction, I couldn't dismiss it. He explained that sesame oil is rich in antioxidants like sesamol and sesamin, and healthy fats that protect brain cells from damage. He mentioned studies showing it could improve circulation in the brain and reduce inflammation, two key factors in memory decline. He ended with words I still remember. "You've got nothing to lose. Try it." That night, lying in bed, I couldn't stop thinking, what if he was right? The next morning, I decided to give it a chance. I went to the health store, bought a small glass bottle labeled organic cold-pressed sesame oil, and took it home. I poured a spoonful. The aroma was nutty, earthy. The taste, slightly bitter at first, but smooth. And just like that, my journey began. For the first week, I didn't notice much. I still misplaced my glasses, still forgot why I walked into a room. But by the second week, something shifted. One morning, while chatting with my neighbor, I remembered her dog's name, Max, a detail I would have forgotten before. A few days later, I recounted an old story from my youth with details I hadn't thought about in years. My daughter noticed. She smiled and said, "Dad, you're remembering more lately." And she was right. Little by little, the fog began to lift. By the end of the month, I could hold conversations without stumbling for words. At family dinners, I remember names, jokes, even birthdays. My confidence returned. It wasn't a miracle overnight, but it was real. Now, I must be honest with you. Sesame oil alone didn't change everything. It was part of a bigger picture. I made small but powerful changes. Diet, I reduced sugar, added more leafy greens, whole grains, and nuts. Mental exercise, I read short stories, did word puzzles, and challenged myself to learn one new word each week. Movement, I started walking 20 minutes a day. Nothing intense, just steady steps, breathing, and fresh air. Social connection, instead of isolating myself. I made an effort to call old friends, chat with neighbors, and spend more time with family. Sleep, I began to go to bed at the same time every night, turning off screens, and drinking chamomile tea to help me rest deeply. All these habits, combined with that daily spoonful of sesame oil, work together like pieces of a puzzle. But before you rush to the store, let me share some important advice. Not all sesame oils are the same. Look for organic, cold-pressed, unrefined sesame oil. Avoid refined oils, which may lose their nutrients. And always check with your doctor first, especially if you have conditions like high cholesterol, blood pressure issues, or liver problems. Everyone is different, and what works for one may not be suitable for another. Start small. Half a spoonful at first. Listen to your body. Too much oil can upset your stomach. And most importantly, don't expect a miracle overnight. Think of it as part of a lifestyle. A simple, natural addition to healthier living. Today, at 81, I can honestly say I feel like myself again. Just 1 year ago, I couldn't remember my granddaughter's name. I feared losing myself completely. But today, I can tell you stories from my youth, remember birthdays, finish conversations without getting lost in silence. No, my memory isn't perfect, but I've regained clarity, focus, and above all, hope. And I want you to know, it's never too late. Never too late to try something new. Never too late to make small changes that can bring big results. Maybe for you, it won't be sesame oil. Maybe it will be another habit, another remedy, another routine. But what matters is this: never give up on your mind. Because every walk, every healthy meal, every good night's sleep, every conversation, and yes, even every spoonful of the right oil, adds up to keeping you strong, sharp, and present. So let me ask you, have you ever tried a natural remedy for memory? If so, share in the comments below. Your story could inspire someone else who is searching for hope. And if this video gave you even a little encouragement, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. That way, you won't miss the next stories I'll be sharing on how we, at our age, can live with more strength, wisdom, and clarity. Thank you for staying with me until the end. I'm sending you a warm hug, and I'll see you very soon in the next video.